Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I want to tell you about my new favorite game, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, a 4 versus 1 multiplayer game where there are 4 Ghostbusters trying to catch a single ghost. It's a race against the clock because the Ghostbusters only have so much time to catch the ghost before the location becomes fully haunted and the ghost wins. The ghost can also use some tricks to run the clock down a little bit faster by causing mayhem, scaring civilians out of the building, and by haunting objects. Ghosts also get 3 respawn points called rifts. If the Ghostbusters trap the ghost can respawn at one of the rifts. However, the Ghostbusters can also destroy each rift, eliminating a respawn point for the ghost. Destroying the rifts are important because not only does it eliminate respawn points, but it also gives the Ghostbusters more time to catch the ghost in the final countdown. At the very end of each match, the game enters a sudden death gameplay where regardless of how many rifts are left, the Ghostbusters have one final chance to catch the ghost and win the match. However, if the Ghostbusters fail to destroy any rifts earlier in the game, each rift that the Ghostbusters missed takes a little bit of time off of that final clock. I think this game promises loads of fun for anybody who's a true Ghostbuster fan. I feel like this is the game that I've been waiting for since I was a kid. However, that doesn't mean that the game is devoid of criticism. Many people who have played the game and tested it believe that the 4 versus 1 dynamic is unbalanced. Some people say that the ghosts are too powerful, but ironically, other people think that the game is tilted too much in favor of the 4 Ghostbusters. So which is it? Is the gameplay really unbalanced? Well, having played hundreds of matches already, my opinion is that no, I think this game is balanced very well. The 4 versus 1 asymmetric quality of it makes it really difficult to compare apples to apples whether the ghost or the Ghostbusters are more powerful in any one match. But I think it really comes down to a matter of skill. I've seen many matches where the ghost wins, and the person playing the ghost is very skilled at playing that role. But I've seen other matches where the Ghostbusters have the upper hand because they coordinate as a team and they're just better skilled at knowing how to catch the ghost. I've seen posts on Reddit where some players have insinuated that others are hacking or cheating at the game somehow, but in my opinion, I think if somebody really masters the skill of playing one particular role in this game, it really can feel like they're cheating because they're just so darn good at it. So here are my tips on what I think could make the game a little bit more balanced in your favor if you're playing Spirits Unleashed. One quick thing that I want to note is that just as I was finishing up the editing for this video, the 1.3 patch release dropped, which includes gameplay updates that do a lot to change the balancing between the Ghost and the Ghostbusters, and they very much affect gameplay. I might do a separate video expressing my thoughts on how that changes strategy, but I think what I'm going to say here in this video still generally applies, but you might have to tweak some details in your strategy. So first, let's start out with the Ghostbusters. I think in the very basic kind of game, before you've leveled up, this game is actually very difficult to play as a Ghostbuster. Ghosts do have the upper hand because they're a bit more maneuverable, they could get away from you, and it's very hard to zap and trap them. But all of that changes as soon as you get equipment upgrades. While this game is very difficult to play with the standard equipment, the upgrades are a game changer. Literally. For example, the trap upgrades make the traps much more powerful and sometimes make it impossible for the ghost to escape once you get them into the trap zone. Other really useful upgrades that you can get are the extra long proton streams. The proton stream upgrades do a lot. And also very important are the PKE meter upgrades because of the enhanced range and duration of the stun effect. When you have multiple Ghostbusters coordinating stuns on a particular ghost, they essentially just paralyze the ghost and you could trap it. No proton thrower even needed in many cases. And don't forget, at the end of the day, this is a team game. So the more coordinated that the 4 Ghostbusters are in setting the trap and surrounding the ghost, getting him cornered, the better your chances are of catching that ghost. To win the matches as a Ghostbuster, it all comes down to team coordination, your skill in effectively utilizing your tools, and the quickness in which you could deploy the trap and your equipment. If you're playing somebody who's skilled at being the ghost, the game is a whole lot more difficult if you're just one human player against one human ghost and 3 AI bots versus having a full team of human Ghostbusters versus one skilled ghost. Whenever I'm in a game, one of the first things I do is I hit the tab key to see who's in the match and what level they are. If they're like a bunch of level 100 Ghostbusters, I'm going to use a completely different strategy versus an experienced Ghostbuster and 3 bots. So some of my tips for battling the Ghostbusters as a ghost are: know who you're playing and try to craft your strategy around them and what sort of upgrades that they have. Conserve your energy. Try to hide inside of objects and recharge yourself as much as you can. Don't allow your ghost to be out much where it's exposed and burning energy by sprinting. Also, anything that breaks the line of sight between you and the Ghostbuster, such as corners, doors, or beams, or even going to a different level, is your friend as a ghost. In some spots, there are portals that allow you to go through walls and through floors, and those are very useful for escaping from the Ghostbusters when they've got you surrounded. So know where those are and know how to use them. As a ghost, you also want to try to find those rifts and hide them, because the rifts, they all spawn inside of artifacts, which the Ghostbusters, if they're experienced, they'll typically know the locations of where the artifacts spawn, and the artifacts are really obvious. If you pull the rifts out of the artifacts and hide them inside of really mundane objects like mop buckets or security cameras or plant pottery or trash cans, the Ghostbusters will often run right by it and not even know that the rift is there. It could be very difficult for the Ghostbusters to find a rift that's concealed inside of a mundane object, even with their upgraded PKE meters. Now, when you're fighting the Ghostbusters as a ghost, it's very important to know the special capabilities of the ghost that you're playing. Each classification of ghosts comes with different weaknesses and special abilities, and the key to winning a match as a ghost is to master those abilities. Know which attacks are very effective for bringing a Ghostbuster down. Some ghosts, like Slimer or Pokey, are very maneuverable and have very powerful attacks, allowing you to confront the Ghostbusters a lot easier than some of the other ghosts, where a hide-and-seek strategy might be a little bit more effective. Another trick that I noticed is that the Ghostbusters have a hard time hitting you if you're really up close to them. There's kind of a blind spot down at their feet, so if you're attacking a Ghostbuster and you run out of energy and you are unable to hide right away, going down by the Ghostbuster's feet might make it a little bit harder for them to see you and get a good hit. And finally, I think to be a really good ghost, it's important to use the PC and have a mouse and a keyboard. For me, that's the only way that I could accurately target Ghostbusters and civilians when I'm trying to use my scare and my special abilities. Anyway, I think this is a really fun game. I just wanted to share some of the tips that I have for playing Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed and becoming a better ghost and a Ghostbuster. I hope you check out the game. It's a lot of fun, and happy Ghostbusting.